Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Am I the Butthole mixed with some relationships as well. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too? All really does help out. It truly does. You'll never know the difference you really do make. And let's crack on with today's first story. Now, today's first story comes from Scarlet Throwaway, who says, "Am I the arsehole for screaming at my sister in the middle of dinner?" And it says, "I'm still mad over this. I, female 17, have a sister, Emma 22, and a stepsister, Una 22. They never got along well. I literally grew up with my sister talking shit about Una and how she just had an easier life because she was pretty. It had never been a secret that my sister thought that, and our parents think that too, so whenever Una was here, no one really tried to make an effort with her because she has it easy. I did my best to change this as I grew up, but Emma never did. It actually got worse. Nevertheless, she is still my sister and I love her. Emma has also always been the golden child, so she gets away with lots of stuff. When they were 19, Una started dating this guy. I don't want to go into details, but he was just no good at all. Through this, Una stopped working since he said he wouldn't date a slut. Literally said that in front of us. No one, sadly including me, said anything. She started skipping classes, stopped going out with her friends, and coming to family dinners as often. It was real bad. Recently, they finally broke up though. I don't know what happened and it isn't my business nor anyone else's, but Una came to stay with us, so the three of us were living together with our parents again. This Tuesday, we all went out to have dinner when Emma started questioning Una about her relationship. Just being there was uncomfortable already and Una would refuse to talk. So Emma kept insisting and our parents were pressuring her to talk too, which was awkward as fuck. It all escalated quickly and soon enough, Una started crying and just left to go outside. I went with her and she was just sobbing so violently. I legit thought she would have a panic attack or something. I stayed with her until Uber came. She didn't want to go with our family and then went back to the table and I was just raging. Now this is where I might be the arsehole. I started screaming at Emma about how she is a bitch and how she knows how hurtful her questions were. How she has always done this, blah blah blah. I also screamed at my parents for allowing it, but I mostly just screamed at Emma. She didn't say or do anything at all, and we ended up leaving. My parents are so mad at me and Una now, and I was punished. Can't see my friends for a week, and Emma just keeps calling me names. I'm not really sorry, but I know I could have maybe handled it better or at least screamed in private, but I also know I made a huge scene in public and hurt my sister. So, am I the arsehole? And there was a couple of comments which gave some additional info. One was about their parents, which said, "Emma and I share a mum. Una is my stepfather's daughter. He practically raised us." Then, when asked why the stepdad allows this treatment, OP says, "My best guess is that because he hates her mum, but if I'm honest, I have no idea." Then someone said about why her boyfriend called her a slut for having a job, and then says she is/was a model and hated her job, saying it was too sexy, so he convinced her to quit. Absolutely not the arsehole in this situation. I know we say a lot of times, you can handle things in a better way, but there's very little alternative here. You're just defending Una and that's all there is to it against three people who seem to have little to no logic at all, no empathy for what Una is going through. And it's one thing to be dealing with Emma, a jealousy issue or whatever's going on. We've seen it time and time again, but then also like two parents enabling the behavior and also getting involved with it as well. Absolutely not the arsehole to me. And before we go to the update, Sucksacher says, "I'm disturbed that your parents were actually okay with this line of questioning. They appear to not understand boundaries at all, nor common decency, and that transferred directly to their golden child who is now a spoiled brat. For the sake of your longer term health, get the heck out of there the minute you can. Not the arsehole, but I wouldn't waste your breath on arguments like this any longer. They aren't going to change." Deep Fudge says not the arsehole, and good for you for having empathy for your sister Una and yelling at your parents what they needed to hear. You might have gotten grounded, but it was so worth the price as you can hold your head high knowing you were being a good sister and human being. Charlotte says, not the arsehole. You are the only one defending Yuna. That sucks. Your sister has serious jealousy issues. Why your parents are so protective with Emma and only her? And I don't understand, who is the parent of whom? And one more from Tiny Miss Shake who says, not the arsehole. OP, would it be possible to move in with Yuna? Your family, other than her, sound toxic as fuck. Perhaps reaching out to talk to her through this and setting up a game plan to move in with her so you both get out of that toxic hell of a home would be a good idea. Also, the malicious compliance in me says you can't hang out with your friends, maybe hang out with Yuna. Sounds like she needs a bit of a friend right now anyway. Now, let's move on to the update to find out what happened next. So the update came in a month later and it says, I don't know if anyone will see this, but anyway, a lot happened too fast. After I made the post, I actually started spending time with Yuna. We watched movies, made TikToks and stuff, and she is really fun and sweet. My sister and our parents were mad at this though, but I was already punished, so not much they could do. I also found out a few things. Our parents and my sister would say lots of racist stuff to her when she was younger. I have some memories of that. Really cruel punishments, and my sister also did some pretty cruel stuff to her in the past. Before she moved with her ex-boyfriend. Well, I hate him. I don't know much as she couldn't go into details without crying, but besides isolating her from everyone, he would constantly make her do stuff when she didn't want to and was pretty abusive both physically and emotionally. She is not ready to do something about it. Like everyone mentioned here, I did consider moving in with her after I graduate, although I do have other options too, and I will probably go low contact / no contact with my parents / sister, something I had decided long ago. And while Yuna liked the idea too, she decided to go back with her mum. When Yuna moved in with us, her mum was in her country, but now she's in the US, she is back there. I don't know if her mum knows everything, but she was always super sweet with us. Yuna's friends never stopped reaching out, it was her that just couldn't do it. She was scared, but they are fine now and there's a possibility she will live with one of them in the future, but she wants her mum now. My 18th birthday is soon and I have money saved. Still looking for a job though. I will also start therapy. Yuna is in therapy too. My parents are still extremely mad at her and me, but not so much. But well, not much they can do. I still talk to her often. I guess everything turned out okay-ish. Now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? How would you deal with it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and let's move on to another story. Now this next story comes from Lilac Swans who says, am I the arsehole for quietly packing my stuff and leaving my family's house without telling anyone after my dad threatened to kick me out? I, 23 female, live at home. I'm in grad school and work part-time, plus intern at an office. I graduate in June and I've been applying to jobs as much as I can so I can finally move out. My sister, 20 female, also lives at home but is doing school online and doesn't work. I try to help with chores around the house as much as possible, although it's difficult since I leave the house early in the morning and come home late at night. Last week I came home and there were clean dishes in the dishwasher. I said I'm going to take a quick shower, then empty the dishwasher. And my dad went on a rant about how I'm useless and never help around the house and that my sister is always the one doing everything. I explained that I do help and that just because they haven't seen me help doesn't mean that I don't. He asked me to give him an example, and I told him that I took the garbage out the night before. The conversation escalated to him saying that I should shut up and not argue any longer because he can easily make me homeless if he wanted to. I said okay and went upstairs. The next morning while everyone was asleep, I packed my things and I left. And I've been sleeping in my car for a week and taking showers at my gym. Later in the day after I left, my parents called and my mum texted me asking where I am, and I didn't come home when I was supposed to. I didn't reply and blocked my entire family's numbers and social medias and haven't spoken to them since. They have been calling and texting my friends asking them where I am. I haven't told any of my friends that I'm sleeping in my car, so I got very confused texts from friends asking me what's going on and why my parents are asking where I am and if I'm safe and okay. I told my closest friend that I left home and that I'm safe and let her know to tell my parents that I'm fine, but I have no desire to speak to them anymore. They've been begging my friend to disclose my location and asking her to ask me to allow them to speak to me. I went to my friends yesterday and she told me that what I did was awful and that I should speak to them. I told her they threatened to make me homeless, so I left by my own volition. But she's insisting that making them worry about my safety is a horrible thing to do, but I honestly think I just gave them what they asked for. They wanted to get rid of me, so I left. Am I the arsehole for leaving and refusing to communicate with them? Edit. My mum was there when this happened and she was on my dad's side as well, so she's aware of the incident and knows that I was threatened to be made homeless. They also said that I was most likely never going to get a job and was going to stay at home forever, even though I have 2 jobs right now. Internship is unpaid though, and I'm actively looking for a full-time job, and yes, they've done this before. Thanks to everyone who has given me advice. I appreciate it more than you can imagine. And we'll start off with Roast Beef is Good, who says, no judgment, because I assume there's more to this than a single argument leading to you choosing to be homeless. But you're sleeping out of your car, dude. That's not safe. Like, no hate to anybody who does that, or like freedom camper communities, but we can all agree that you are not safe. At least ask around to couch surf or park by a friend's place and let them know what you are doing. Not telling anyone is immature as hell in my opinion. Unblock them and tell them the reason you left at least. That is if everything you said is all there is. Edit, not the arsehole, as someone has informed me they've kicked you out before. They are reaping what they sow at this point. Furious Pig says, I realize a lot of people in this sub have been in abusive relationships and had to endure toxic family members, and I completely empathize with those difficult struggles. That being said, I think rallying cry of go no contact seems based very heavily on a lot of assumptions that are being made. OP, you did not mention a history of abuse, threats, intimidation, or other hardship. The only incident we have here is you describing a single time during one argument that your father threatened to kick you out of the house. Based on your edit, your mother was there for the argument and did not intervene, and so seems to tactically support this threat of eviction. But that's all we have. And in response, you blocked your entire family, including your sister, who based on your post has done nothing wrong whatsoever and seems to be collateral damage. OP, you also didn't disclose to friends what your circumstances were, which is concerning. If you have been enduring abuse or harassment, then I agree with everyone else. It's good that you cut ties, but the simplest explanation based on the information you gave would suggest that there was a fairly standard issue argument with your father, and your mother likely didn't think the threat of kicking you out was serious enough to merit intervening. If there is no other background or context, I'm concerned that you've taken a very extreme reaction to self-isolated from your entire family and most of your friends. OP, you are not the arsehole, but your response seems, to me, to be grossly out of proportion with the argument you described with your father. Either you aren't giving us the whole story and your family is terrible, or else you are having an internal crisis. I hope you are okay, and you may want to consider talking to a counselor. Whatever the situation is, it will help you process what you are going through right now. Good luck. Detach says not the arsehole, but maybe talk to your local police department and let them know that if your parents try to file a missing persons report, it's a waste of time because you are not missing. They threatened to kick you out for not helping, so you left. Sounds like a win-win to me. Can you talk to any of your friends about staying with them while you get things together? Pop Acrobatic says not the arsehole. Sounds like you are majorly stressed out, and having someone scream at you in a place that is supposed to be a calm, safe environment is just not helpful at all. I am guessing your mum doesn't know what happened. I would at least tell her. And one more from Friendly, who says not the arsehole. As someone who was made homeless by their parents, I went no contact the moment I left and didn't get back in touch till my father apologized. Never moved back, even though he thought I would, and made a new life. You don't owe them an explanation when they threaten your life, but also don't make your friend play middleman. So then OP did follow up with an update which says, I want to say thank you to everyone who commented and PM'd me with advice after my first post, almost 2 months ago. I received a lot of helpful advice that I took into consideration when planning what to do next. A week after my post, I ended up moving in with a friend who was kind enough to let me stay and pay a very small amount in rent in return. I also ended up talking to my parents, and my dad apologized for his behavior and promised to never make a threat like that again. which honestly came as a shock to me, but I'm glad things got resolved between us. I let them know I'm staying with a friend and paying a small amount in rent in the meantime, and that I'm in the process of finding an apartment, and they suggested that I move back in with them for free until I find a job and a place, so I took their offer and moved back home and haven't had issues with them since moving back. I finished grad school and completed my internship, and 2 weeks ago I landed a full-time job in my field. I also found an apartment that's only a 5-minute walk from my job. I start the job next week and I move into my new place 2 weeks from now. And I'm super glad it did work out for OP in the end, and there was a bit of conflict resolution going on. But what do you guys make of this particular story? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's have another one. And our next story comes from Am I the Arsehole partner Will, who says, am I the arsehole for no longer leaving everything I own to my siblings/nephews and nieces? Background, I have a fairly successful real estate company. About 15 years ago, I was engaged and she cheated on me, and following that I changed my will so that my sisters and my nieces and nephews would inherit what I have after I pass, because I decided to never have a partner ever again. My sisters only knew I changed my will because my dumbass told them this whilst drunk at New Year's Eve party in 2007. About 6 years ago, I met Anna. We ended up in the same ward after having cancer treatments and started talking, and things went from there. I'm not ashamed to admit that I think she's the bee's knees. We've been together ever since. My family is aware of this, but have been unwelcoming to Anna for reasons that have never been clear. There's no significant age difference. We are all pale-skinned, no religion issues, etc. However, I figured it out recently when one of my sisters approached me and asked whether I wanted input as to which college her eldest was going to. I was confused as to why it involved me, and she explained that, of course, I would be paying for it. I was shocked and asked why she thought this, and she explained that I had said I'd be leaving everything to them 15 years ago. I laughed and pointed out that at the time I was 24 and heartbroken, and my sister and her husband were well off and should be supporting their own child, not asking me to. My sister went off about how Anna was stealing me and my money/assets away from the family, and how we have no children, so I should support my sister's children. I said that of course Anna would inherit from me as she is my spouse, and that my sister needs to take her demanding attitude elsewhere. Not to mention that at 39 and 37 it's entirely possible for Anna and I to have kids yet, and whether we did was none of my sister's business. We haven't spoken since, and my other sister is mad at me for leading them on for 15 years. I feel like I might be at fault here because I can see how they could assume that, but also, why did they take my drunken word for it and never bring it up since? Especially as I now know that neither has saved for their kids to go to college because they were relying on me to pay. I now understand why they don't like Anna also. Anna is very upset about the whole situation and is blaming herself for driving a wedge between my sisters and I. Am I the arsehole here? Edited to add, I first developed cancer when I was 27, went into remission at 29, and it came back when I was 32. I had surgery when I met Anna and radiation therapy to treat it, but there is a good chance it will come back, so I'm assuming this is why my sisters didn't plan for their college. And yes, you made those comments years and years ago, and when I really think about it, and I'll have to come at it from like a personal point of view with any type of inheritance, it's sort of never expected. I would never rely on inheritance from someone else to sort of live my life and make major life decisions based upon that, regardless of what anyone said. I would think, sure, it would be nice if one day that did happen, that'd be absolutely wonderful, but at the same time, I would not rely on that money. That just seems like a silly thing to do to me. So many things happen in life, and I recognize that a lot from reading a lot of these stories. So many curveballs from all different angles can happen in life. In my own life, what's been going on the last few years has been absolutely crazy. So, it's just a Brucey bonus if you get that extra money. But another thing that jumped out to me, I would assume inheritance would be like after you passed. And I know you said that in your edit, they were assuming that there was a chance your cancer might come back, and that's why they didn't plan for their kids' college. And that is a horrible thought to me. Obviously, we don't know that for certain, but the thought of them thinking like, oh, OP won't be around much longer, so we will have that inheritance and all will be gravy. But I just think the absolute entitlement to approach you and say, yeah, of course, you'll be paying for it. Like, ah, dearie me. But Miss Lalista says, not the arsehole. They would have inherited if you would have died. You never stipulated that you'd cover college, etc. for your nieces and nephews. So they've walked around for 15 years, hoping you'll drop dead, so they get the money to pay for things they haven't accounted for themselves. Wow, your family is a bunch of gold diggers. This is not Anna's fault at all. Not your mummy dear says, wow, your siblings. We don't need to start a college fund. Bro will die of cancer and leave everything to us. You rebuild your life, your siblings, and say, you owe us for a promise you made on New Year's Eve while drunk. Also, not dying. Not the arsehole. Delicious Wish 8712 says, first time I've ever heard that an inheritance would be provided pre-death to pay for college. That alone would have prompted me to change my will, even if I was still single. I'm so happy you have found love. Enjoy your lovely marriage and spend your money how you want. Decent Bandicoot says, you said you would never be with anyone after a hard breakup at 24 years old. Well, drunk. Lol. How did they get from an inheritance to paying for college? Trying to get rid of Anna to make sure they get your money. Your family are entitled and horrible. Not the arsehole. And one more from There Be the White Whale, who says, not the arsehole, you aren't their personal piggy bank. If someone said that to me while drunk with a freshly broken heart, I'd completely dismiss it. Then to be so greedy that they automatically dislike Anna because it means they won't get an inheritance shows more about them than about you. You have a right to be happy. They are not entitled to your money. I suggest you talk to a lawyer because if you leave them nothing, they will probably try to contest your will. Now, what do you guys make of this situation? How would you deal with it? How would you deal with that family after they approached you and said that? What would you say to them? Oh, dearie me. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, I would love to hear it if you have a moment of your time. Now, just a huge thank you for spending your time here, getting involved in the channel. The stories, your love, support and time always means the absolute world to me, the channel, and everything. You change everything that happens here. So thank you so much, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the windows. Okay, I know that today